Alrighty, guys, thanks for joining us today. My name is Jenna Ochoa, and I head up partner marketing and agency training here at Justuno. Today, I'm excited to bring in one of our specialists. So today we have Robbie with us. He is the Director of Client Success. Some of you guys may know him or have interacted with him, but basically he's here today to help you guys put together some ideas for the holiday rush. So Black Friday is coming up and we're here to help you prepare. So Robbie, if you can just go ahead and say hi and maybe kind of give us a brief overview of what you do as Director of Client Success here at Justuno.
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. So what I do for Justuno is ensure that I usually work with our top tier clients and ensure that their promotions are optimized, that they have all the tools that they need to maximize the value of Justuno on their site and know about all of our features and all the fun creative things that they can do to convert and engage as many people on their site as possible.
Great. So I'm really excited to get into this training. I've done a couple of webinars that some of you may have attended in the past, but today I think we're going to get a little bit more technical. So let's go ahead and take a look and kind of get a snapshot of what we're going to cover today. So all of you guys, whether you are a small e-commerce setup or whether you have, 50 plus people on your team and have a full development marketing team, all of you guys have a conversion funnel. And today we're going to walk you through how you can use Justuno at each stage in that funnel. A lot of you may think that Justuno really only comes into play in the very first step, so the attract portion, but we can actually use our tool to nurture customers, to increase engagement, and ultimately to retain them. So Robbie, it looks like we have some interesting stats on here. Would you mind kind of giving us some more information on these?
Sure, absolutely. So when it comes to top of funnel, when we look at the traffic coming into the site, the research that we've seen shows that for every $92 spent acquiring traffic and getting people to the site, only $1 is spent converting those people once they are on the site. So those are obviously all averages. You may see different numbers, but there's a great disparity there. And the whole idea and everything that we're preaching is to invest more in the traffic once it gets to your site. So you guys are probably already doing that. If you've spoken with me before, or anyone on our team, and kind of have a good grasp of what Justuno does, but basically we want to get you thinking more about that traffic, and which is circling around these numbers here. And how do we do that? What is the kind of the 1-2 punch for engaging and converting more traffic and investing more on that traffic? It's to engage them with all of your new traffic, at the very least, with an email offer, an email pop-up. And so you may or may not be running one of these right now, but the reason we ask people and recommend that they run email pop-ups is because they tend to convert at the highest rate, or the email as a channel converts at the highest percentage over most other channels. So if you don't get someone to check out by offering them some incentive, that with a Justuno email promotion, you have their email, they become part of your welcome series or a drip campaign, and they have a higher likelihood of checking out at a later date. So all of this is with the idea in mind that if you do engage these people and you do run an email offer, and what I'm about to talk about next, which is the cart abandonment offer, not only do you increase the chances of someone checking out in that session, but you also are boosting the value of this $92 per $1 spend off site. So you're boosting that value, you're increasing ROI, and you're reducing things like cart abandonment and bounce rate with these promotions. So that leads me to the actual converting the user at the most important aspect of their journey. I didn't hit the 68% number. So on average, about 68% of people will abandon their carts. And you may or may not already have a strategy in place for emailing those people, but questions to ask yourself are, what if you don't get their email? What do they do? What do you do in between the time that they actually look at their inbox or check Facebook to see that you've sent a targeted ad to them saying like, hey, you know, you left this in your cart. There's a lot of things that could happen to in a buyer's journey before they are, you know, roped in by any of those things. So we recommend, as you know, the second part of it after the email capture at the bottom of the funnel is to run these cart abandonment promotions so that you're targeting them while they're leaving the cart and still on your site. So our in effect, we're trying to reduce that average abandoned cart. And then, you know, there's obviously things too, like Jenna touched on with return traffic as well. Increasing AOV is something that I hear all the time, average order value, through different different promotions you can run, but that's not something that we're probably going to focus on today.
Yeah.
So
We might touch on one example at the very, very end, but I guess, Robbie, before we transition, I just want to address maybe one point that some people might be wondering about. On all these things that you've touched on, is there enough time before Black Friday to actually pay attention to these?
oh, of course. So I mean, we make it pretty easy for our clients. If you, let's just say you haven't done any of these things yet, which I doubt, I think probably most of you have at least some version of email pop-ups in place, and maybe you have cart abandonment. I find that sometimes people don't use the cart abandonment offer simply because they don't know about it, or that strategy hasn't been touched on yet. But we make it super easy through what you might be able to guess our next slide is, which is our pre-built promotions. So we have promotion templates in place that all conform to our best practices. They touch on these two foundational segments of traffic, which is new traffic coming in, which is probably between 50 to 80% of your traffic, and then people that are abandoning their carts, which is 68% of the people that actually get to the cart page. So these, I mean, really, these require almost no work to go live. If you don't want, we have professional designers that have done and built all these templates out. So you really connect it to your email integration, you put in a coupon code, and you go live, you know, and that's for things like the new visitor. And then the cart abandonment promotions even easier because there is no integration. You're just serving up a coupon code or some kind of incentive to get that person to check out. It might be free shipping, anything like that. Now, ideally, you would take these promotions, you would stylize them to fit your brand and aesthetic, and then connect your integration and go live. But like I said, we've built these so that if you don't have time to do that, you don't have to. These are really nicely designed promotions incorporating our best practices. So one of the big three promotions that we always have pre-builts for, whether it's seasonal or not, is what we're just touching on with the new lead capture, cart abandonment, and then what will possibly be most important after Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which is site messaging, directing your traffic to where you want them to go to find the biggest deal that they can. So one more note on this too, you see how it says before holidays, during, and during. A lot of our clients like to focus on lead capture before Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so they get a bunch of people into the funnel and they could start marketing their deals to them regarding Black Friday and Cyber Monday. What becomes most popular during Black Friday and Cyber Monday and kind of ensuing after is site messaging and cart abandonment offers that are unlocked. They are the lowest barrier to entry to get your customers to check out in that setting or in that session. So that's really what it's all about. It's a race during these times, and you want to get those people, you want to make it super easy for them to take advantage of your deal and check out.
And Robbie, if you could touch on here in discussing the pre-builts, I'd like to talk a little bit about our mobile promotions, just because I know, and again, some of you may have already been on a previous training with us where we've talked about this, but you know, this year we've had a lot of merchants really kind of express doubt in serving something up on mobile. So what do the pre-builts offer in terms of getting the mobile set up correctly? Can you go into that a little bit?
Right. Yeah, that really comes down to two aspects, the design and the targeting rules. And so we've created, and you basically have to comply with one or the other. So most of our pre-builts and what we've seen work better is still running like full screen mobile promotions and just moving them to the second page load. Because really, if you are aware of Google's mobile policy updates, we don't have time to get into all of that right now, but
Mhm.
you can serve all of your mobile pop-ups on the second page load and be totally compliant. without, you know, filtering out certain traffic sources, which you can do if you want to still show it on the first page load. And we certainly have clients that are doing that. But the alternative is to show kind of like a mobile UNOBAR, some kind of small banner at the bottom of the page on the first page load that kind of stays with them throughout the experience. With that said, I personally have looked at more accounts that have higher success running full screen offers on the second page load, which we have the pre-built rules set to do. We have full screen mobile promos and banner mobile promos with all of those rules for each one respectively in place.
That's the cool thing about the pre-builts. If you guys don't, again, like don't have a lot of resources for design or just don't have time to set it up, you can be sure that when you set up a mobile, that it's only going to show on those pages that abide by Google's best practices. So that's a really good thing, and you guys can take advantage of it. Okay, so Robbie, you touched on, you know, people kind of focusing on capturing new visits pre-holidays and kind of then leveraging those accounts or those, I guess, email addresses to market to during and after. So let's look at, you know, what you would recommend for capturing new visits, maybe some best practices or some KPIs that we can look to.
Right. So, you know, kind of alluding to what the text says on the slide, you probably already have an email pop up live on your site, but how we encourage you to look at how is it performing, and really the biggest metric to look at is the impression to engagement rate. So how many people are seeing it versus how many people are submitting their email. Now, what we want to see is promotions performing above 5% engagement. Now, it might be a little bit lower if you, for example, are not running an incentive and your promotion just says, hey, stay up with the, you know, stay up to date with the latest and greatest, submit your email below to join our family or whatever. Those typically, I don't see those perform above 2.5% engagement normally. So if you're getting above that on an offer, on a non-incentivized offer, good for you. But you will convert even more with some sort of incentive. And that can be a 10% discount code like you see here. It could be some sort of gated content like an ebook or a fitted guide or lookbook or something like that. Or most commonly with a lot of retailers that have lower margins, they'll run contests. They'll run contests with gift cards. And after speaking with a couple of retailers that actually do that quite heavily, they actually see a lift in lifetime value of a customer after running a contest. So maybe the conversion rate of someone who engaged with this offer was slightly lower than a discount, but apparently their lifetime value was higher after the research they did. So we want to see you at least 5% engagement. And then through effective email marketing, you can really boost the revenue on the back end from people coming back. And the same applies to channeling or really tailoring the message to certain traffic sources like social ads, like what we see below. Like if you want to show a specific offer to your Facebook traffic, or if you want to exclude your email traffic from seeing an email offer, which I would definitely recommend, right? Like you already have their email. So there's a lot of different ways you can segment that traffic in Justuno.
Yeah, and we're going to look at some specific examples, you know, targeting social and AdWords here later on in the presentation. But I think the important thing to take away from a new visit, you know, Robbie touched on people that are running contests and things like this. If you don't feel like you have the bandwidth or the ability to do something to that level, I guess my advice would be just create an offer that's hard to say no to. So even if you're not offering a discount, maybe you know, we've had some B2B clients even just offer a download of something. Make the offer very valuable for your customer, and then you should see some heightened engagement. So I'd like to kind of touch on a couple of ways, easy ways that you can increase engagement. So Robbie, it looks like we have an example of a test that we ran here. Can you talk to us about this one?
Yeah, of course. So we recently released our spend to win feature, which you can add as a plugin onto any promotion. It can even be an unlocked promotion if you add an intro screen. So there's, you know, any of you that have more questions about that, you can email me. But you can add this spend to win onto presumably an email promotion. And what we did in this test is you can see these two different designs. Now, the audience is the exact same, the targeting rules are the exact same, and what you see is different is a gamification or a higher interaction in the promo and a little bit more excitement into like, what am I going to win? And so we can see here this improvement on the variant, which is on the right, is 31%. And so usually, I mean, honestly, if you're running a spend to win promotion, you have a compelling offer that the winning it always lands on, which is how this software works by default, then you will see enormous improvements in engagement rate. We've seen this across the board, really. Like we've seen spend to win promotions engaging people up into the teens and sometimes 20% total engagement rate, impression to engagement rate. So those are pretty astounding numbers to see. And I mean, that really shows incredible ROI from running these promotions over, kind of the more traditional just like join our fam, here's a discount, give us your email. So this is just one example of many ideas that we have thoroughly tested with many clients that we can recommend.
Yeah, and this one should actually be, I mean, if you guys are just looking for a quick and easy way to increase engagement prior to the holidays, this one's actually very easy to set up. And you can see this client even pretty much just use the same design. I mean, they've used the same imagery for the background, and they've just customized their wheel here, which is very easy to do inside the Justuno designer. So you can customize your colors and you can pick which offer is always going to win. So again, if you have questions about that, you can email us later and we can help you set it up. Moving into the next section, this is sort of just a different look at the funnel we looked at prior. But a lot of you guys are pushing money into different advertising channels. So, most popular ones we would see are Facebook ads and Google AdWords. We do have a lot of folks getting into Instagram too now, which is interesting. But what you're doing is generating site traffic from that. Where we see a gap happening is on site. What happens once these people come to the site and they're not converting? And that's, we have a couple of strategies that we would like to show you to help fill in that gap. And I think a couple of the most effective ones are going to be exit offers and cart abandonment. So Robbie, I'll let you talk us through both of those. And it looks like this one we're starting off with just a site exit offer here.
Sure. Okay. So with this offer in particular, there's actually a client that I work with often. They're called Century 21 stores. This exit offer, like Jenna kind of alluded to, is actually targeting people exiting from product pages as opposed to the cart. Reason for that is that they have a specific offer that they are targeting people exiting from the cart. And those are all great things to test, just kind of is another testament to segmenting your offers that much more. But this offer is engaging people at around 46%. And for unlocked offers, that means people clicking on the coupon code, which we have conveniently grayed out here, or viewing the promotion longer than 8 seconds. Now, the reason why this is so significant is the conversion rate, the sales conversion rate of people that saw this promotion is 4%. Now, without knowing the exact conversion rate of the people that didn't see it, we can safely assume, I've seen enough of these to know that this is definitely an elevated conversion rate. You have a higher intent to buy from the segment of traffic that is viewing this promotion because they're viewing it on a product page, as opposed to someone who's on, bouncing from the home page or their second page load in. So this is designed to show to people with a higher intent to buy, and then with a different offer showing for people with the highest intent to buy, which is the cart page, which I think is the next promo example we're going to look at, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Training Mask, another client that I work with pretty closely. They are showing this. They're showing this offer 20% off someone's training mask when they're exiting from the cart or checkout page. Now, 81% engagement. That means 81% of people clicked to copy that code or viewed this long enough to either write down the code or think twice about the offer. And so you really get a sense of how powerful and how much recovery these promotions tend to help with in terms of cart abandonment, and how we lower that 68% a cart abandonment rate from there. So some ideas for you: maybe you're not offering 20% off, maybe you're not offering $15 off, but famously Forrester research found a couple of years ago that the #1 reason people abandon their carts was due to free shipping. So if nothing else, even if you're already offering free shipping, make it super apparent. Run your cart abandonment offer with a full screen just like this that says, leaving so soon, don't you know you get free shipping on today's order? And then if you can squeeze in some kind of other incentive there, then by all means do it, and you will see that be very fruitful.
Yeah, and actually this year here at Justuno, we ran an analysis probably, I guess, maybe like end of Q3, and looking at all of the offers that we've been running, and hands down the most successful one was free shipping across the board. So, I think that if you feel like you can implement that, it will pay off. So it's a high converting offer. Just again, to reiterate kind of the funnel that we've just covered, a really great way to get higher ROI on the money that you're dumping into these channels is to put an exit offer, whether that's on a product page or on a cart page. It's just something easy you can do to help make this money a little more worth it. Okay, so moving on, I think one of the easiest tactics you guys can do outside of setting up an offer like that is to do something that we kind of call mirroring messaging. So what does that mean? That means if you're showing a message in an off-site channel, so in an ad, in an email, wherever it is, to simply mirror that message on site. Now, sometimes that may include a discount, sometimes that may include a CTA, or sometimes it's just straight up text, but you would be surprised at how effective just subtly reinforcing that messaging impacts your conversion rate. So we've got a couple of examples here, and Robbie, you can talk us through each of these and kind of what we're looking at.
Right. So the top one, blenders. This is probably the most popular thing I think clients will run during Black Friday and Cyber Monday and during the holidays. You're obviously going to send out an email blast to all of your entire network and your entire subscriber list, and you're going to have some kind of great deal. You're going to say Black Friday starts tomorrow, but get a deal early by clicking here. Use this coupon code for 15% off. Now, once that person clicks through, you now have that you're probably using UTM parameters or some kind of tracking URL, and we would target that URL, and then you have your coupon code that you presented them in the email. You have a countdown timer telling them how long it's good for, and you're mirroring that offsite messaging. So you're using this similar style sheets, fonts, everything to create a seamless UX. You're telling this person, here's your coupon code, this is how much time you have to use it. And countdown timers especially have an amazing effect on the urgency of purchase, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've probably seen them as a consumer before, and they probably worked. They've definitely
Mm-hmm.
worked on me. So, and then the example below, we're just kind of reinforcing that wherever the traffic is coming from, like maybe you posted a Facebook ad that said we're doing 20% off for 20 minutes, you can then target that traffic source and run a banner or some kind of full screen promotion that says, don't forget your coupon code and a countdown timer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that urgency is something, people go back and forth in trying to decide if that's actually effective or not. And we at Justuno recently published a blog post on A/B testing a timer, and how effective that was for us. But I think, and Robbie, you can chime in here, during a time like such a time like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that timers would absolutely be effective, because then you can kind of put some constraints around your deal, and that's going to be very incentivizing versus, if you have a countdown timer open for 3 months or something like that, it's not as urgent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it can also just double as like just letting your traffic know when the Black Friday deals end. And I wouldn't advise maybe to say, like, let's say you're running an entire week's worth of Cyber Monday deals, and so the timer says you have 6 days to take advantage of this offer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I maybe wouldn't recommend that, but if you're running a 24-hour sale, by
Mm-hmm.
all means do that.
So here's just a visual, here's just a visual example of what the countdown timers can look like. So, and this again is coming from that Blender's example, and you can pull in the code that you want people to use. I want to come back to this slide and just kind of reiterate a little bit about Google and Facebook. So Robbie, you mentioned working with UTM codes. Just kind of want to explain what's going on here. So one of our clients, Shynasty, what they have done is leverage Justuno to work with the campaigns that they've built in their Google AdWords and in Facebook ads to pull in that same campaign code into an UNOBAR when the user arrives on site. So basically they're targeting people coming from these specific channels, and that in turn, you know, as Robbie said, helps them have a more seamless UX and incentivizes them to also use that code. So if you guys are running ads in either of those channels, absolutely reach out to us. It's something we can help you optimize prior to holidays.
It's a subtle nudge.
Yeah, it's very subtle, but it's very impactful. The next one I want to look at is, again, something that Robbie touched on already, is free shipping. And I think a lot of our merchants are already have free shipping stuff in place. But in terms of presentation, we found that an UNOBAR, and Robbie can also get into more of the design aspect, but placed at the bottom is a really nice way or a nice location to have it. So this example comes from Savannah, and they're like a yoga apparel and accessories company, but they do a really good job of tailoring their messaging. So it looks like here they have a free shipping threshold set up because it has a dollar amount pulled into it. So Robbie, why don't you walk us through the design of this and why it's effective?
Sure, and it really is like putting Unobars or banners, whatever you want to call them, at the bottom of the screen definitely affords you more vertical space, so you can make the Unobar a little bit larger, a little bit more prominent. You will see this on sites like Crate and Barrel, Pottery Barn, West Elm. Like, I've been doing a lot of furniture shopping recently, so those are the examples that I thought of. But all three of those sites have run these kind of like these big bottom banners to give them a little bit more room for creatives and all that stuff. Now, with that said, when you run a banner or any promotion on your desktop computer in Justuno, it will also show up on a tablet. So some best practices to keep in mind is to keep things as centered as possible in the middle of the overlay, like you can see that Savannah's doing here. And then, you know, there's a stick option for your like close button on the right. Generally, you'll see it on the right side. You can stick that to the side, so no matter what the resolution of the screen, it will always be like 10 pixels off from the right side. So those are some quick best practices. Now, if you want to do something like what they have here, where it says, you know, I have $50 in my cart and it's $100 to free shipping, and they say you're only $50 away, that's some relatively easy custom coding that you can place in your promotion, and we definitely have support docs surrounding that. It's a very light technical operation to accomplish, and is a very nice way to kind of personalize these promotions even further.
Mm-hmm. And a couple of extra details too is that they have linked to the details of the free shipping deal. So, you know, just to kind of cover yourself legally. And then also the thing I really like is that they've linked to gifts under $30. So, you know, that makes it also very easy for users to say, oh, okay, cool. These are much more affordable and they can help me reach this threshold. So I think this is also one, you know, Robbie mentioned in the very beginning about increasing average order value. This could be a way to push that number up a little bit.
Yeah, and another note too on linking to your sale page or your clearance page, using our CTAs in things like banners it's definitely, I think, the most popular thing I saw last year during Black Friday is people just wanting to let their visitors and their customers know like where to find the biggest Black Friday savings or Cyber
Mm-hmm.
Monday savings, and making it easy for them to find those you know, to find those deals and those pages, and to say like, oh yeah, gifts under $30. I've been meaning to buy something for my aunt who's a yogi, and so I'm on a $20 budget, so I'll check here.
Right.
And it really makes it easy for your customers to find what they're looking for and make a purchase.
Right. Okay. So now that we've kind of given you a couple of those, you know, ideas that you could probably set up on your own. I mean, they're, like Robbie said, some of them are a light technical procedure. And I like that terminology, by the way.
Mm.
But now we're going to look at a few more advanced ideas. So, all of these are going to be a little bit more strategical, and we'll just kind of review the example, and Robbie maybe can touch with some technical details. But first I want to look at bundling products. Now, a lot of you may already have this set up on your store, but you're using a different app in order to do this. So that's the cool thing about Justuno, and why we have that name, Justuno, is because that we're just one app that does a lot of different things. So product bundling is, a functionality that we certainly can support. And this is a good example of how one merchant is using it. This design comes from the GLD shop, which is one of our clients. I believe they're on Shopify Plus. And what they did is set up an offer to fire when a specific necklace was added to their cart. So you can see the design of that offer here. And what it did is fire to the user and say, hey, do you want to complete your set, and give them a couple of options. So as you can see, it had a really high engagement rate. The conversion rate was great because these products are not cheap. So I imagine this turned in some pretty good revenue for them. Robbie, is there anything technically that you'd like to say about this?
Sure. Yeah. So you mentioned a couple things, like, so they're targeting people with specific items in their cart. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a Shopify customer, this is a very easy thing to do, because Shopify just makes it easy for apps like ours to integrate deeply into their platform and target SKUs, item numbers, item colors, the amount of items, dollar amount, all that stuff. Now, for other people not on Shopify, it's still a pretty easy process. Again, light technical work involved, but once it's done, it's kind of like one-time technical work. You basically embed a little snippet of JavaScript into your site, and then we can use that. We can use those variables to target a specific item or whatever it is that you're looking for. And then after that, I mean, it's pretty easy. We set up CTAs that say, add this particular item to my cart, and then within the design canvas, you can tell Justuno to add this specific item to the cart. So
Mm-hmm.
it actually ends up really boosting. This is a really good, again, you think about things in terms of sales conversion and maybe email conversion, and in terms of Justuno. And so this is another really great option to boost sales revenue, and to get some things, like maybe you've got some sale items, like pick any sale item of your choice and get it for free with this purchase over $100.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to get rid of inventory if you're looking to unload your onesies and twosies, things like that, and different items that you might be selling together. So like the Gold Shop did here, they did it really well, 8% conversion, probably a pretty high average order value. So
Mm-hmm.
so they did really good. But these things are fairly light to do in Justuno, and might take a little bit more time than doing the pre-builts, for instance.
Mm-hmm. And you bring up another good point, Robbie, that I've seen a lot of merchant questions around, adding like a free item to cart
Mhm.
for, I've seen that in various forums, and I think that's kind of basically the same setup. But, if you wanted to do something like that for this holiday season, if you have like a freebie that you'd like to include, this type of functionality can also apply to that use case.
Those are huge too. Adding free items to the cart it's such a great incentive for users too. That's not, we hear a lot about people not wanting to like cheapen their product by offering a discount, and
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of, shoppers these days they're looking for a deal. So I don't think anybody's at risk of cheapening their product. But if you don't want to offer that discount, um, offering a free product, or like what Gold Shop's done here, is an advanced idea that is really worthwhile in terms of sales. And it does change. Like, the reason we can't offer a one and done out of the box solution is because this is so dependent on the platform that you're on,
Right.
the cart platform. So just get in touch with us. We can work with you on the best route to accomplish that.
Right. Good deal. Okay, the next one I want to look at is tiered offers. This is one that when I've presented this in a couple of webinars and trainings has gotten a lot of attention. People are really interested in this. So I'll probably let Robbie talk more about this one, but basically what we're looking at here is a tiered offer that we set up maybe last Father's Day or a couple Father's Days ago for watches.com. And the idea behind it was to kind of create this tiered effect and again, another gamification type of offer to keep that user engaged. But once they unlocked the first code, then the messaging would change. As you can see, this first code is confirming that they've unlocked 15% with this code SuperDad. Now, as they continue to shop, you'll see the messaging has changed. It says, okay, you unlocked this, and now it's pulling that cart value again, so giving the threshold, but you're only $12.50 away from getting 20% off. So the messaging changes after they interact to kind of keep them engaged and keep them interacting with the offer. And it had a really great conversion rate. I mean, again, this is a client, watches.com probably has a pretty high price point on most of their products. So Robbie, I guess, can you talk us through if somebody wanted to set up a tiered offer prior to Black Friday, do you think that's something pretty doable?
Yeah. I would say that it definitely helps to have someone technical on your team, just to aid with this like really small stuff. Of course, there are services that we offer that can accomplish this for you too. But just talking through this offer, they essentially it begs the user to say like, okay, what does this look like when I add that next 12.50 to my cart, and what where do we go from here? Now, from a technical perspective, this stuff we're really circling around different ideas that involve the same work, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the last offer we looked at is similar technically speaking to what we're looking at now, which is sort of similar to what we're going to look at next. But
Mm-hmm.
it's basically, if you do the technical work once, you do it one time, and then from there you really have the option to do all of these offers we want. It's not like you have to do all this crazy technical work each time you want to run a different offer. It's really
Mm-hmm.
kind of we're circling around the same technical concepts, but all different ideas you can do with that.
Which is really like the cart value, right? Like we're looking at that value, and then you can think marketing wise how you want to build an offer around that.
Exactly. So,
Cool.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, this next one I want to touch on, I actually really, really like this example, and just because of the story behind it. And in terms of it applying to you for Black Friday or not, we can get into that, afterward. But let me talk a little bit about this offer first. So this client of ours, Leaner Creamer, sells, basically just one product. He sells these different types of creamers. But what he began to notice is that it was very expensive for him to ship 3 creamers. And he found out that the cost of shipping 4 would actually reduce his shipping costs. And so he built an offer to increase the volume. So, hey, if somebody added 3, then he served them a pop-up saying 4 bottles or better, go ahead and save some money. So once he did this, of course, he saved money on his shipping, but he also increased his average order value, and he was also able to liquidate a bunch of extra inventory that he had. So really, he kind of had a home run with this offer, and as you can see, the numbers speak to that. So I think in order to run a volume offer, you obviously need to have a product that lends itself to this. So his product does. A couple other industries or verticals that come to my mind are like cosmetics, or maybe like supplements, where people order more than one usually at a time. But I think this could be a good way during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to get rid of extra inventory if you have product lying around, and could be pretty effective. Robbie, is there anything you wanted to add about this offer too?
No, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, this is really going to apply to people that, like you said, if someone's come to buy one thing, they might buy 2 or 3. Like if you sell basics, like basics clothing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like plain tees or socks or something like that, you can add a free pair. Get 4 for the price of 3, or get this. For every pair you buy, the second pair is 50% off. There's a million different ways you can go with this, and this is not a technically advanced offer. This is just a marketing forward
Mm-hmm.
idea. So this doesn't require any extra technical work.
Right. It's just kind of about how you structure your messaging to the people seeing that offer and who you show that to.
Yeah, and you can this person created a coupon code that basically eliminates the cost of the fourth. But I'm sure a lot of cart platforms are sophisticated enough that you can say if someone adds 4 items, the fourth one's free, or the cheapest one's free, or something like that.
Right. Right. Good point. Okay, well, let's look at the very last example for these more advanced ideas. This is one that's relatively new for us to present here at Justuno, but we're calling it the promo drawer. And we actually were inspired by a client who came up with this design here on the top. And, one day we just thought, hey, that's pretty cool. And then started researching around and see that the Old Navy branch, or like Old Navy, Gap, Athleta, all the whatever's under that umbrella. And I think, Robbie, you mentioned earlier too, like Pottery Barn and places like that are probably also running something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically just a large unlocked offer, or a large bar here at the bottom that pops up on site and displays multiple offers. Now, the cool thing about using Justuno to build these is that you can actually link to your pre-built or to your promotions that you've already built. So for example, in this one, what the client has done here is taken or implemented the image of his spin to win. And then I think, Robbie, maybe you can clean up my technical stuff here, but place a transparent CTA. So when they click here, it actually pops up the spin to win. It doesn't redirect them to a different URL or anything like that, but this offer actually pops up and you're able to engage with it right then and there. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's a good point that I didn't even consider before, but a lot of people, like a lot of CTAs that are put in promotions and pop-ups on websites, they might click to a different URL. They might take people away from that page and not even like open a new tab, for example, when they go to that URL, which is just terrible UX.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understand when people do that. And the great thing about our CTAs is the CTAs can either link to a page and also you have the option of opening a new tab
Mm-hmm.
or keeping it in the same window. Or with the CTAs, like in this example, you can, if you create a promo, you place it at the bottom of the screen and you have these 4 images of your other promos, you basically layer the transparent CTAs over each one, and each CTA can open another promo. So you select
Mm-hmm.
that in the design canvas, you say open this spin to win promo when this is clicked, and then the person clicks it and boom, they got it. Now, another note on these is what I like about what Old Navy did is they have very different deals for different days. But if you're going to do something like tiered discounts, I would recommend offering your best discount first so that people don't wait till like the 4th day to get the best deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get more in checkouts in same session from that.
Yeah, I also like the styling that Old Navy has done to theirs. It just seems more cohesive in terms of, the colors that they use. It just feels more branded. So
Right.
I would encourage you to approach it also with that mindset. And then two, like Robbie said, structuring your deals for different days, it's pretty obvious here on Old Navy's, but if you guys are running, very specific days for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you can actually build that out and make that very clear. Like, hey, here's what Friday's deal is. And that way your user base already has a heads up and they know what to expect, kind of like training them on the discounts. But from a marketing perspective, I really like this one because they're very large and take up a lot of screen space. So they're kind of hard to ignore. And also they give you a lot of options as a marketer on which deals you want to serve your traffic. Cool. Well, that is the last example that I wanted to touch on. So we want to close out here with just discussing our professional services. Many of you may not know that we actually have this branch of Justuno, and we've kind of gone under a revamp lately. But Robbie, why don't you go ahead and let us know what professional services are? What do they include? What do you have to have a certain account in order to, be able to apply for these, or how does it work?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. So no, you can be on any account and sign up for our professional services. And really what this does is you're outsourcing your conversion rate optimizer, which we have a team dedicated to that. We test promotions all the time. We have designers in-house. We work with you closely on what your needs are. And that's essentially what the professional services is. For things like what we were just looking at, for those technical examples, like if you really want to do that but you don't have the time, the resources, or the dev team to do it, then give it to us. We'll do it. We do custom solutions. If there's a feature that you're looking for that we don't have, we'll build it out for you. And so we offer these on a monthly basis. We have one-time setups for if you just want a design revamp of your promotions and you don't have time to do that. And then we have all the way up to the premium white glove service that is ongoing. And so if you're interested in that, I think, Jenna, I think you're going to drop a link into the chat, I believe.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
we can drop a link in here to the chat so you guys can click through it and view that page.
and also, if you guys have worked with me closely and you're interested in doing something like this, you can also email me and I'll put you right in touch with uh, with Adrian or Ryan who head up the team here at Justuno.
Cool. Yeah, and I would just encourage you guys to think about this pretty seriously because, you know, as marketers, as designers, and I'm sure many of you are business owners attending this training, that we often get into just tunnel vision, and we're guilty of it here at Justuno too, where you're so into your own product, you're so into your own site that you can't see the gaps in your conversion funnel, whether that's just lead acquisition or that's making a sale. So it really helps to have a third set of eyes and just say, you know, hey, here's what we see. And, or I guess, would that be a second set of eyes?
Yeah.
Third party perspective is where I was thinking too. But yeah, it really helps. And we can just help, you know, identify areas for improvement and then show you some actionable ways and even set those up for you just depending on what you'd like. So anyways, you guys can click through, check that out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So Robbie, if people want to get a hold of you, I guess just reach out to you here at your email.
Yeah. Most people here will probably already have my email, but just shoot me an email if you have any custom questions or anything like that, or you know, anything that we can do. We're here to help. We're here to help you guys be successful as you can during this holiday rush. It's our biggest time of year, as we know it's your biggest time of year. So we are dedicated to making sure that it runs as smoothly, that we are doing everything that we can to make you successful during the holiday season. And I hope everybody has a great Q4.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, Robbie, for taking time. And I will also be sending out a recording of this training. So if you guys are worried or you'd like to share it with people, then don't worry. I'll be sending that to you after this. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to either of us. So thanks for joining and good luck this holiday season.